So, I bought a thing. So here it is, the new Wookiemobile. Quite easily the nicest vehicle I have ever owned. And, trust me, I've owned a lot of turd buckets in my day. I've always been a fan of the Nissan Alpha platform since they first debuted in 2004. At the time, I was a kid in elementary school, and with my dad's history of owning D21 Nissan hardbodies, these new Nissans excited me. This was a Nissan truck for the 21st century. Nissan had come out with bold styling, full-size entries in the truck and SUV segments, and a new beefy drivetrain that put the old ones to shame. I wanted one bad back then, and my love for them has led to a wanton need for one. And finally, after all these years, I finally own one of my own. The Nissan Pathfinder was Nissan's first attempt at a modern SUV. Having previously dabbled with the Jeep Compete Patrol and the Coachwork-built Bushmaster, Nissan jumped on board with the D21 hardbody-based Pathfinder in 1987. The 1980s saw a boom of small, truck-based SUVs, such as Jeep's XJ Cherokee, Chevrolet's S10 Blazer, Ford's Bronco 2, Toyota's 4Runner, and Mitsubishi's Montero. The market was booming, and now it was Nissan's time to shine. Over the years, the Pathfinder would grow and be aimed more as a family SUV, with Nissan slotting its Xterra sibling as more the enthusiast offering. Having shaken up the full-size market with their Titan truck and Pathfinder Armada in 2004, it was time for Nissan's bread-and-butter midsizes to get a much-needed update for 2005. With styling closely resembling the 2003 Dunehawk concept, the R51 Pathfinder had grown in size compared to its predecessor. The size increase slotted it in between the newly introduced Murano crossover and the also newly introduced full-sized Armada. That having now dropped the Pathfinder from its name because that was an effing mouthful to say. A switch to an independent rear suspension allowed for more cargo room, and aimed for a smoother ride compared to the outgoing solid axle. To differentiate it from the carb-based Murano, it was aimed as more of an adventurous offering, without being the dedicated off-roader like the Xterra. The rugged roof rack was great for canoes. The full-flat third row offered plenty of room for gear and potential sleeping. Heck, they even gave you a first aid kit. And to top it all off, you came with the same rugged four-wheel drive system that the Xterra came with. Under the hood is the only available engine at the time, the fantastic 4-liter VQ40DE V6. It is a stroke version of Nissan's go-to 3.5-liter VQ 35DE V6, and wow, these things are a whole lot of letters and numbers. The 4.0 is a fantastic engine, producing more than enough power at 270 horsepower. It hits the power band quick. It demands a light foot, as you'll find yourself chirping the tires, unintentionally, a lot. Compared to the Explorers and Trailblazers of its time, the engine makes the Pathfinder feel a lot quicker than it actually is. In 2008, they made the 5.6-liter V8 from the larger Armada available, which, of course, is a unicorn for this body style Pathfinder. The fact that they decided the Pathfinder could use even more power and shoehorning such an engine in this engine bay blows my mind. That being said, it comes at a cost. This is a thirsty engine, as I find MPGs struggling to hit the 20s. And the recommended fuel is premium. Yay. Goodbye, $15 Phillips. Backing up that fantastic engine is the Jatco RE5RO5A 5-speed automatic transmission. It shifts pretty smooth and helps send power from that V6 to the ground in a meaningful fashion. Being a 4-wheel drive model, power is then split from a traditional 2-speed transfer case. Of course, you got normal 2-wheel drive mode that feeds just the rear wheels, auto mode that detects wheel slip and sends power to the front wheels when needed, for high, which is high gear, and for low when the going gets tough. Rather than a traditional lever, you get this knob at the bottom of the center stack. While a lever is cooler, it is a little more intuitive than a simple button that many manufacturers had started doing at that point. Heck, to get into 4 low, you gotta push the entire button in to engage. While playing around, the dash gives a little indicator of what mode you're in with a little light up of a truck. That's neat. As mentioned before, the R51 Pathfinder sits on independent suspension front and rear. Both ends feature traditional McPherson struts with dual control arms. And steering is done by rack and pinion. Despite its size, the Pathfinder doesn't feel wallowy like you expect from such a large SUV. It stays somewhat planted, but if you hammer on it, it will kind of squat on that rear. Nimble is the right word I'm trying to find, but at the same time, you gotta take into consideration the type of vehicle you're trying to drive. It will get top heavy, despite feeling so nimble. And because it's rear wheel drive with 270 horsepower, it will over rotate if you hammer on it too hard, especially if you turn off traction control. Steering is surprisingly tight for such a vehicle. After years of driving large Fords and Chevys, I've been kind of trained for a somewhat lazy steering with SUVs and trucks. But this Nissan drives like a vehicle that's much smaller than it actually is. Inside is pretty nice for the time period. Being an upper level LE model, it gives me a leather interior, dual climate controls, Bose sound system, and multiple charging ports. It's a huge step over the Saturn and its lowly GM interior of the time. I like it. You gotta understand, before the Saturn, I drove a 93 Chevy S10 Rust Bucket. And before that, a Geo Tracker soft top. This is honestly the nicest interior of a vehicle I've ever owned. And I'm saying this about a freaking Nissan. But you gotta understand where I'm coming from. It has its shortcomings, but doesn't feel like complete crap to me. I love the full flat third row, the multitude of metal tie-down loops in the rear, the giant center console, multiple charging ports, dual glove boxes, power adjustable pedals. Heck, I love that hidden compartment they got under their third row seat for whatever reason. Even though I'll never use it. What does the Saturn have over this? It's GM gray. And that's not a good thing. And now the little shortcomings and annoyances, which, as much as I love this, I do gotta address them. Every vehicle you own, no matter how much you love it, will have a little nitpicks and annoyances that you know they're there, but you put up with them. As mentioned before, this thing is thirsty. My wallet does not like paying for premium, especially since gas prices have skyrocketed as of late. Oh boy, it needs tires. Bad. This is definitely something I'm gonna do or purchase before I go up north for the holidays. It doesn't have an auxiliary jack, which was kind of something I was looking for due to me being stuck in 2005 and still insist on using an iPod Classic. Turns out this was a feature that wouldn't be added until the 2008 refresh. Why are the cup holders so huge? Am I missing inserts that go here? Anything larger than a big gulp is too small and leaves open to potential spills. But I knew what I was getting into with this type of vehicle. When I was shopping for a new daily driver, I was kind of looking for a mid-sized truck or SUV. And the oldest I was looking for was probably about 2005 or newer. And I kind of leaned more towards the SUV side, as it would be more practical for my use. I may use it as a lift vehicle. It carry a lot of stuff that keep dry. Honestly, the SUV fit me more than the pickup truck. Preferably, it would have to be an SUV, a traditional SUV with low-range four-wheel drive. I could have gone the Jeep route, but my experience with Chrysler products of that time period has left me a little wary of Chrysler. This also eliminated the Ford Explorer due to my past experience with the three freaking timing chains on their 4-liter V6. I briefly considered GM, but with the Saturn's problems, it was just kind of the GM as a whole at that point. And don't get me started on the insane resale values of Toyotas. And that kind of left me at Nissan, an old personal favorite of mine. I had good memories of riding my dad's hardbody through the Maine woods. I loved that truck as a kid. So I began a search for alfalfa Nissans. I would only go the Frontier route if I could find a 4-door 4x4, but they have a little bit of a premium for good reason, because that's the truck that everyone wants. And I lean more towards the Pathfinder over the Xterra, because I like the reserve styling over the shouty Xterra. And after looking for a few Xterras and Pathfinders, this one popped up at a good price, and I made a deal. The R51 Pathfinder would go through a mild refresh in 2008 with a slightly updated grille, a new entertainment system, and the batshit crazy option of the 5.6-liter Endurance V8 out of the full-size Titan and Armada. However, the global recession hit the traditional SUV market hard as sales hit a new low of 18,000 in 2009. Sales would bump up slightly over the next few years, but something had to be done. And thus, the 2013 Pathfinder, known as the R52, would become a car-based crossover. Gone were the bones from its pickup truck brother. Underpinning the new Pathfinder was Nissan's D platform, shared with its Altima and Maxima family sedans. Gone was the butch styling. Gone was the trademark C-pillar door-mounted door handles. Gone was seemingly the charm. Enthusiasts cried out. To them, the Pathfinder had finally lost its path. But customers flocked to the R52 Pathfinder, with sales hitting record figures with its introduction in 2013 and steadily holding at right around 80,000 sales in the U.S. yearly since then, more than any previous iteration of the Pathfinder. As much as the older fans, including me, hated the idea of a car-based Pathfinder, Nissan truly has had the last laugh. Oh well, at least the Pathfinder name lives on. And that brings us to the 1-year anniversary of Wookie Drives. It's been kind of nuts trying to juggle the channel and the podcast with my very busy work schedule, but it's been fun. 1 year ago, I debuted the show with my simple little Saturn, and now I'm getting ready to say goodbye to it. Anyways, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Tell me if I'm an idiot or something. Every little bit helps. Check out the official Wookie Automotive Facebook page for updates and inquiries for cars to have on the show. As of right now, that's the easiest way to get a hold of me. Also, be sure to check out the podcast, the Wookie Automotive Racing Ramblin' Podcast, for my weekly thoughts on racing and overall what's going on in my life. You can find that here on YouTube, ShoutEngine, and iTunes. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and have a good one. And that brings us to the 1-year anniversary of Wookie Drives. It's been kind of nuts trying to juggle the channel and the podcast with my very busy work schedule, but it's been fun. 1 year ago, I debuted the show with my simple little Saturn, and now I'm getting ready to say goodbye to it. Anyways, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Tell me if I'm an idiot or something. Every little bit helps. Check out the official Wookie Automotive Facebook page for updates and inquiries for cars to have on the show. As of right now, that's the easiest way to get a hold of me. Also, be sure to check out the podcast, the Wookie Automotive Racing Ramblin' Podcast, for my weekly thoughts on racing and overall what's going on in my life. You can find that here on YouTube, ShoutEngine, and iTunes. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.